How far you think this game, playing against Duluth, top two teams in the division, how far do you think they'll go in the race for the division title?
Well, it's going to go a long ways. Obviously, you got two teams right now that predominantly have been up there towards the top, and especially for Duluth, they've already beat, St. Cloud. They already beat Moorhead. Right now, those two teams are 2-1. So they maybe play a little bit tougher schedule on the piece of paper through 3 games, but it goes a long ways because after this point, you only got 3 games left in the North. So it certainly gives you a great chance if you can get the W.
Is there a little more urgency, intensity in practice facing a top opponent compared to the ones you played recently?
I think your kids have handled the week-to-week type of approach pretty well. We talk a lot about just respecting what you're going to see each week and respecting your opponents. So, I mean, certainly there's a little bit more, intensity when you look at, instead of some of the other teams that we play compared to UMD, because they're ranked in the top 15. They're a good program. We haven't been able to beat them much, so that's certainly a team that you circle on the schedule, and you got to beat them sometime to be able to win a championship.
How much are you looking forward to this week's matchup, especially after last year's meeting?
Well, last year didn't get to show our best, best team. I thought on a different surface and a different day, maybe we could have played a little bit better. We didn't, handle that very well. I didn't think on either side, offensive and defensively, and they did. Give them credit. They handled the adverse environment, but it's a completely different year. So that's the fun part of it. Is we're 0-0 versus Duluth in 2018. We just got to go try to make some plays to see if we can put ourselves in an opportunity to win a football game in the 4th quarter.
What have you seen out of them this year on tape that makes them difficult?
It's good. They got a lot of returners on offense, and the quarterback, if you want to start on the offensive side, John Larson, just a good athletic quarterback. Reminds me of Jordan Hine. He just extends plays with his feet. They get a good offensive line, and probably one of the better receiving corps Duluth's had. So they're formidable on that side, and then on defense, they're just aggressive. They're gonna make you, make you get out of your comfort zone. They're not going to let free releases at the receiver position. They're going to be aggressive in the box and make you do some things that you're not normally probably wanting to do, and they're going to get after you. That's kind of their approach on defense. So they're good on both sides, and they're good special teams too.
What's the plan this week for quarterback?
Same as last week. We'll see how it goes, but right now it's going to be Jared probably starting the game, and then Alec Ogden be in the rotation and go from there. So both those guys, I thought, really played pretty well last week. After the first initial snap, maybe to Alec, he was probably getting the nerves out of his way, and then they both played well. Alex, threw the ball well, and so did Jared when he had the opportunity to, and didn't have to do it a lot, which was nice. So both of them get a chance to play again this week.
What's Drew's status for this week, and then what have you seen out of the running backs that haven't been playing so well?
We'll find out probably Saturday about 5:30 if he's going to go or not, but I sure hope he does. But we'll see. It's one of those deals that is probably, at a crystal ball, it'd probably be a little bit easier to tell. But I'm hopeful of him being back out there in some capacity for at least some reps. But the other guys have done a really good job. Jalen Fry and Sage Booker and certainly Shrod when he got his opportunity the last couple of weeks. So kind of been by committee if he hasn't been out there, and Jalen's really taking the opportunity for those reps and those carries to take full advantage of them, and so the other guys. So we'll see it. Hopefully we'll get some yards out of Lukowski this weekend too.
What have you seen out of your O-line where it really doesn't matter who's behind there and they're getting tons of yards?
I think it's just a byproduct of having a good O-line and then probably having a good scheme. So when you have both, you go fast and you put pressure on defense, and sometimes I watch it and I'm like, they got it fit, or they have enough guys in the box, and all of a sudden we squirt through for a big gainer, or sometimes they don't have enough and we're having gaping holes in the offensive line, dominates up front. So it's happened a lot of different ways, but when you add probably a good scheme with good players at the running back position and O-line, and plus the tempo, that usually has been a good scenario in the equation for having success. So hopefully we can continue to do that.
What have you seen so impressive out of the run game so far this year?
I think we just got a good group of guys that that like to work and kind of bring it every day in practice and try to put a lot of pressure on them. Day to day, Tuesday, Wednesday is kind of our work day, and we just had good days of practice. Kind of put them in positions to have success, and the rest is all on them. So they're a good group. They work together. They're all buddies, so they're fun to coach. They make the job pretty easy.
The offensive line last year lost 2 players who saw NFL tryouts and that skill caliber level. How have the offensive line, stepped up in their roles and gelled together where at this point it doesn't matter who's behind them running the ball?
Yeah, I think, you talk about losing 2 guys that were pretty important to what we did last year, and, we'll talk about that quite a bit coming into the season and see who's going to step into those roles. And we had moved guys around a little bit during the season last year too. So it's kind of interesting how it ended up. The starting 5 as you finish season is always what you think it's going to be when you start. But coming in, kind of the same thing happened in camp. We had a couple different guys kind of in there moving bodies around, and had a good idea for the most part who was going to be. There were a couple pieces that needed to fall into place, and there's a couple guys that really stepped up in some spots. And we've had an injury too, and had somebody else step up and fill that role. So it makes you feel good when you put 2s in, or guys that were probably anticipated as not being starters initially, and they come in and fill those roles. And a couple of young guys like Ryan Fuller at left tackle and James Ubi at left guard this past week, and we'll see a lot of action this week as well. So a couple of kids that when I first got here wouldn't have told you that year 2 they'd be the guys on the left side holding it down, but just happy to have some kids develop and step up, and that's been huge for us, next man up mentality. So those 2 guys that we lost last year were phenomenal football players, and probably 2 of the best that I'll ever play here. But that's if you're gonna build a program that has some longevity, you got to have kids that are going to step up and fill those roles and continue to progress. So I've been fortunate to have that.
So far the run pass balance has been able to sustain the run game, especially with the quarterback situation and all the volatility that's gone on there. How important is it, especially this week, to make the quarterback's job easy and run the ball successfully?
Oh, it's huge. It's a huge part of who we are and our game plan every week. I think in our minds we always go into thinking we're going to be balanced, and that's when it's a competitive game. That's what you want to do. You don't want to have a heavy tendency one way or the other. Probably right now I know what the tendency is. We're about 70% run in almost every single formation and down and does all that stuff. But when you're playing in garbage time, that tends to be what happens. But this week, it'll be the best defense we've seen thus far. I don't think there's any question about that. It's hard to talk about stats and all that stuff. I mean, it's week 3, week 4. Not a very small or not a very large sample size, but it'll be big. You got to take pressure off those guys, and it helps everything. The less you're dropping back, the less pass rush you're seeing, and the more you're putting the pressure on them. I think that's the beautiful thing about the run game is, in terms of the front 7, it's a lot easier when you're coming at somebody as opposed to being reactive. So I think if we can be efficient on 1st and 2nd down, running the football, gives us a pretty good shot, I think, to score a lot of points. So
I know there was a lot of excitement in training camp about all the freshman running backs. How have they met and even exceeded those expectations?
They're coming along. Being the old line coach, you're always standing back there and should have cut here, should have cut there. You see it's always 20/20 vision when you're standing back there 10 yards watching it. It's happening fast for some of those young guys. I don't think any of them really have any clue how good they could be yet. They have a lot of physical gifts. Right now, a lot of it's just reactionary. They're just doing what they do and kind of leaning on that athleticism and trying to make things happen. And I think when you sit back and you put Drew back in the game, a kid who's played a lot of football, you really start to see, there's some nuance to it. And I think those guys see that too. I mean, one of them made a comment the other day at practice. He made a cut. I'm like, man, he sees everything. It's like, you play a lot of ball, you see a lot of defense. I mean, you start to figure out, you can anticipate, where that cut's going to be, and learn how to set linebackers and do all that stuff. So they're coming along. We're excited about them. And hopefully they can, we just got to keep them healthy and keep rolling. I think it's good. You can keep a fresh guy in there all the time. So it's exciting. It's a good problem to have a lot of kids that can tilt the rock for you.
So deploying Garrett and Alec last week, what did you see from their games?
Saw a lot of good stuff from both of them. Obviously, you look at the stat line, and over half of Jerry's passes were touchdowns, and then Al comes in and goes 10 of 14 and has a few touchdowns himself. And I think they handled the game really well, handled the speed of the game, did what we asked them to do when they needed to do it. Certainly showed up, converted some 3rd downs, and we're doing pretty well in converting those 3rd downs right now. And so certainly being able to lean on the run game and and get us in positions to have easy third downs helps everybody out. And so pretty exciting that we're able to lose a good player, but at the same time we can play two other kids who come in, and while Al's nerves are maybe rattled for a little bit right out of the gate, settled in and played at a high level against an NSIC football team.
Yeah, you go. You mentioned him, getting more comfortable as the game went on. Have you seen that also this week in practice as he's had that game experience, kind of be more, confident in himself?
Yeah, Al's not short on confidence in general, so he was pretty comfortable day one at fall camp. But certainly settling in and seeing some different secondary looks and things like that, obviously a lot more complex than what he saw at Monona Grove out of high school, but kind of figuring that stuff out and then really trying to learn protections and how he can protect himself and manipulate that stuff is only going to help him. But he feels a lot better coming off of his first game experience for sure.
Going against Duluth this week, how does that change the game plan as far as the two quarterbacks?
It really doesn't. We're gonna do what we do, and that's kind of what we've preached since we got here in the spring. And Coach Olson and I got together on the offense. Is that hey, we need to have something that is plug and play. Whether we lose a back, we lose a quarterback, we lose a receiver, it can't affect our whole game plans all the time. And so we were able to put in a pretty broad spectrum of things throughout spring and then fall camp, and that we just kind of cater to everybody's strengths. And so it really doesn't change it. If Brent was playing, we'd have the same game plan, to be honest with you. It's now up to those guys to go execute it, and we'll certainly, Al's a little better at some things than Jerry is, and vice versa, and when either one's in the game, we'll cater to their strengths.
The offensive line, both, open up the holes in the run game, and then passing wise, only 2 sacks allowed this year. How have they, kind of provide some stability to the offense?
Certainly, no matter what offense you run, and we say it before the games, it all starts up front. Even if you're Mike Leach throwing the ball 50 times a game, if you can't protect the Q, it doesn't really matter much. So it certainly helps when you can pound out those yards and they're physically punishing guys, and then you can do that at tempo, like Coach Bolte touched on. It gets guys out of gaps, gets guys tired, they're not crossing face or fitting like they should, and so it's a testament to how in shape they are and the work that they do period 1 through period 22, and they're going pretty hard, probably the hardest working group on the practice field, and then it shows up on Saturdays. Certainly helps out a young quarterback when Brandon started and played in those couple games, and now a couple guys who are stepping in. It makes life really easy for them, and it simplifies the secondary looks as well.
So first off, the run game at this point, 350 yards per game, something like that. How has the offensive line taken some pride in that, success so far?
Absolutely. We come in every week working, knowing that we're going to have to take care of our business. Going in this year, we weren't really sure. Other people were wondering, how good was this group going to be? And we knew that we had talent, and just the chemistry with these guys is really just, it's special.
How has that chemistry kind of evolved from the beginning of spring camp into now?
Well, coming into spring, we had 3 returning starters, me, Nick, and Joe. Joe moved to tackle, so that's a little different. But we've had the same coach for 2 years now, and that helps tremendously with our techniques and our calls, and just being able to play with the same guys for over a year is the difference.
You mentioned the 2 guys who left, obviously made their mark on the program. What did they teach you, and how have they kind of taught the players who are still here on the offensive line?
Yeah, Krause and Schindler had a huge impact on me. Coming in as a transfer, just teaching us the work ethic and what it meant to play O-line here. So being able to replace those guys is tough, but as a unit, I feel like we're chemistry-wise we're better than we were last year. We had 3 new starters last year, and this year we're replacing 2, and so us playing together for over a year is the difference. We just know, we trust each other, we know what each other are doing, and it's huge.
Quarterback situation, even to start off, none of the quarterbacks had a whole lot of experience. How have you, taken, that, emphasis to make their jobs easy and, give them good time to throw the ball back there?
Well, coming into the year, we knew that we were going to have a young quarterback, whether it was Alt or Jared, and so we kind of took it under ourselves to, you know, take care of our business. We knew we were going to be a run-first offense, and so, you know, with losing Alt and, you know, having a new guy in there, it doesn't change much for what we do. We know that we're going to run the ball, and that pretty much determines how our offense is going to be. If we can't run the ball, then we're going to struggle. So good luck trying to stop the run.
Just to describe the game you had on Saturday, getting those 3 takeaways.
Yeah, well, like I said, after the game, you know, it all starts with our game plan. The coaches do a real nice job right when our game ends one week. You know, they get right to work, putting a game plan for the following week. You know, starting schemes and whatnot, getting ready for coverages. So I think they prepare us real well with that. So, I mean, they put us in the right spot to make the plays. So, I mean, all praises to those guys. And then, I mean, the 2 takeaways I had, I wouldn't have been able to do without my blockers. So, I mean, kudos to all those guys that are out there helping me.
Getting a look at the Duluth offense for this week, what have you seen from them, and how have you been preparing for them?
They have some pretty good athletes. You know, I think we match up well in the secondary. I mean, I have faith in all our guys to get the job done. You know, we've been playing with each other for a few years now, so kind of like Parker said, you know, we gel over time. So I think that's what has helped us evolve with the team, and, you know, helping young guys adapt to the process and getting the coverages and all that down. So I think we're ready. I think we're ready for Duluth.
How much do you want to get the win this year, especially after the game against Duluth last season?
Yeah, last year that was something different. You know, I played in snow a few times, but that was out of this world. I don't know. It was a fun experience to be able to do, but I wouldn't recommend doing that every single time. But no, the Duluth is obviously a big rivalry, but we're trying to just look at this week as a normal week. You know, I mean, the past is the past. No matter how many games they beat us in a row, you know, this team's different. What happened in 2010 doesn't matter. What we do. This is 2018, so we're a whole new team. We got new guys, so I mean, we're just ready to roll.